Well, here we go. We are with the Truth Studios and taking a look at what's just happened. It's myself and Chris Miner, and it's a beautiful day here in Cape Town. Just come off the mountain. Namaste, dear brother Chris. How's my audio?
Good, brother, good. How are you, man? How's mine? Is mine okay?
I can't complain, man. Beautiful day. Beautiful day. Truly beautiful. And
It's good to see
slightly
you, man.
overcast, but like really lovely mountain session. I didn't know if we were going to do this today, but here we are.
Yeah,
rolling
sorry
and
for the
rocking.
late, bro. Sorry for the late reply, brother.
So
It's been,
wow, what's
been so
just been
crazy
going on in
lately.
Portugal is quite a shock, is it not?
Yeah, man. It's. Can you hear me right now? Can you hear me?
Is that your computer freezing? Is that your internet, or
It might.
is everything
be.
good?
I don't know. Hold on one second. Saying I have
Everything on this end seems to
full-
be working perfectly.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can indeed.
Okay.
Indeed,
Okay.
I can hear you. Yeah,
I think
brother.
we're okay. I think we're good now. I don't know what the heck that was.
Yeah, it must be like a jitters across the world electrically.
I know, man. I know. It's
The
friggin-
jitters.
It was so weird with that with the earthquakes too, because it was like news slow the whole story about it happening out, and I had heard it from someone else who was just a regular podcaster who just happened to mention it, and I was like, oh, that's weird. I'm beating mainstream media to like telling people about that just happened. It's bizarre.
You know, it's really interesting because I liked the way the words induced, what is it? Induced oral, I forget, what is it called? Induced atmospheric vibration. That's
Mhm.
what it was sort of put down to.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
my old research with HAARP, that's exactly how that works. And those towers out there, I mean, in the UK, I know there's one in the center north of the UK that's got a 5,000 mile plus range, 5 to 6,000, 5,000 something, right?
Mhm.
And I know there's a whole lot of them batched across Europe. And like in most of the known world, there's none in South Africa. The nearest one here is Australia. But I'm pretty sure that Australia can reach South Africa, right? And I love the way the word induced is part of that conversation. And nobody really stops to question, well, who induced it? Because induced isn't something that, if it's a natural phenomenon, it's not really induced, is it?
No. Not at all.
Like it's sort of in the name. And I think that word, like, who was it that coined that phrase? I think it was Schumann. Yeah.
Was it true? It might, probably. I
Yeah.
wouldn't be surprised.
In the 50s, I believe. And it's related to the resonances of the Schumann, which are obviously in alignment with the ionosphere, right? Because the ionosphere and the Schumann resonance, it's a toroidic field around and through the Earth. So those acoustic resonant fields that we see going through the Earth are in relation to the ionospheric electromagnetic frequencies. So if you can retune the ionospheric frequencies, then you can retune the Earth to some degree, I'm pretty sure, because they seem to be a single continuity of structure. And it sort of makes us think as well about like a lot of what's been going on the Earth, the weather modification programs, and also just how much focus there has been. For example, what was this what's the true research behind this the occulter and the What was the other name of COVID?
SARS-CoV-2.
There was another name for it. The first name that they were calling it, there's a satellite that was built by the European Space Agency with that name.
I actually don't remember.
Anyway, there's two. One of them is the occulta, and it's part of according to the European Space Agency website, they were up there doing these eclipses last year and the year before, researching how to manufacture eclipses, which to me is just crazy.
Yeah, that's insane.
Like, what would they be doing up there? What? And suddenly we see, well, maybe this has got more to do with this HAARP technology and research, and they're doing experiments, and they need a reason to be up there, and maybe during the eclipses, the ionosphere, there's a gap in the ionosphere. What better time would there be to test the HAARP technology? But then you would need to have recording instruments up there.
Yeah.
So what better reason to create these, it doesn't make sense. Why would you want to artificially create an eclipse? Well, what are you going to get out of it?
That's the real question, right? I mean, unless you're gonna start projecting holograms in the sky to mess with the consciousness of the people who are directly being affected by watching, and they're just like some sort of emotion being stirred up, why fake a celestial event? Unless you're just trying, I know there are rituals and things that rely on certain alignments, but what does that help if they already know that the thing's not real? I mean, do they even have anyone right now who is taking them on, the people who are socially engineering everyone? They're pretty much just working on a pose, it seems.
Yeah, man, this is very interesting because I think, am I right? Was Schumann's work, okay, so I'm just Googling this here. His work was primarily focused on the Schumann resonances, which are global electromagnetic resonances excited within the Earth ionosphere waveguide, primarily by lightning discharge, electrical discharge, which produces obviously heat and high amounts of energy, which is what they're replicating with the HARP. The resonances occur in extremely low frequency, so we're talking ELF range, and are not directly related to induced atmospheric vibration, although both involve atmospheric phenomenon. So it's very interesting. Laid the foundation for understanding the Earth's electromagnetic environment and the role of lightning. And so what we're talking about here is how these ELF affect our brain resonance, right? And our heart. I mean, ELF can stop a human heart.
Yeah.
And it can cause your brain to go scrambled. Yeah. So it's quite dangerous. It can cause you to have a psychological meltdown.
Yep.
Basically. So
they also call one of the things the millimeter wave bullet. Basically, they could shoot a really high frequency or low frequency wave at you and basically kill you.
Yeah, so it's I think there's this connection between these ELF and this vibration, because obviously when you've got extremely low frequency vibrational waves, they're going to have more knock-on effect on the particles, aren't they? So it stands to reason that there's going to be more of a resonance.
Yeah.
And especially when there's high amounts of energy in the atmosphere. So it really gets me thinking could this be, now I don't know if you followed the work of, I think his name was Richard Svat. Gosh, this is 20 years ago. I think his name was Richard Svat, and he had super waves. He's a cosmologist.
I'm not sure if I've heard of him or not.
Richard Svat. I'm saying his name wrong. Richard Spaven. No. I could be wrong with his name, but anyway, he was an astrophysicist, cosmologist, studying the effects of the central sun and how this cosmic radiation and other radiation, super waves, which are also not necessarily in our temporal continuum. So we're talking about quantum waves that operate under different quantum principles, possibly, and how these can affect the emission of our sun and how much energy is coming out of our sun and the particular frequencies coming out of the sun. And he had this theory that we are going to be getting super waves, and that these super waves are going to be reaching Earth. And we are due for one of these big super wave experiences. And he reckoned, according to his research, that it seems to align with extinction level events on Earth in our history.
Did you say this came from, he was saying this one that would affect us would come from the sun? Because I've heard actually about something like this coming from galactic center.
Yeah, basically he reckons it comes from galactic center.
Galactic center, okay, yeah.
But these super waves affect all the stars and the suns.
Yeah. So they would make like the stars,
obviously magnetic
nova,
fields.
Yeah.
Increasing the electricity. And he reckoned that these super waves, apart from knocking out all of our technology, could create extreme weather reactions. So here's two possibilities, like part A and part B. And namaste to you guys that have joined us in the chat. I hope you're well. Please share this conversation out there in your social networks. And I hope you know Chris. Chris is really cool. He's a rock star. You got to go and check out his rock star channel. What is your band channel again? It's
YouTube / Time Will Tell. That's just that Time Will Tell. Yeah.
With an @ sign in front of the Time Will Tell.
Yeah.
One word. So, but I'm sure you can just put @Time Will Tell into YouTube, and you'll probably.
You can even find it on my channel on the Chris Minor Management Official, or Chris Minor Official, whatever the hell my channel is. I'm forgetting it now. Chris Minor Official, I think, channel.
They're connected. Basically, you'll see in the recommended channels.
Yeah.
So yeah, and he's also an avid researcher, and as you will discover, he's very beloved with Steiner and a lot of the old cosmological, philosophical thinkers, and various different occult sciences. This idea of the super waves are like it's like a very interesting concept, because here we have two possibilities. One possibility is that the powers that be are just doing all of this to control us. Possibility two, they're aware that there's like stuff's going to go down, and they want to be able to mitigate what happens. But while they're mitigating that, they've also got to be able to control people. From their perspective, being good doers as they are, right? Mm-hmm. They've got to be able to control the people from their perspective, because obviously if these super waves come and they knock out all of our electrical grid, then they would need absolute control. And so obviously it's very important that we're all on a digital financial system. Very important. Because then all of our trade gets knocked down, and then it's automatically martial law in every state globally, at which point the military and the government just makes all the decisions and resources. It basically becomes like back in the USSR. We won't know how lucky we were, boys and girls. It's basically where this could go. But it could be because they're aware of these phenomenon that come from time to time. Like, what was the mud flood? Where did it come from? What caused it? What causes a lot of these sudden shifting, crazy weather patterns? Why are there all these frozen mammoths that we keep pulling out of ice that look like they literally drowned with food in their mouth?
Yeah. And that's where things get kind of worrisome, because if all of this is just to outrun a catastrophic reset that they know is coming, God, a mother effer. Like, I want to just strangle them because like fuck them. What the hell are we doing? We're all just. It's not good. We don't want that to be the case, and I'm hoping that's not. And I'm hoping that the way that maybe the system works is more bioenergetic in its basically in its function. So like our thoughts are more so forming the reality we're going to be experiencing, and maybe if that's the case, we can avoid something like that and just maybe just go straight to the AI dystopia that everyone already thinks is coming anyways, but at least have a chance.
Just put my phone on silent.
Oh,
yeah, man, it's heavy when you start to consider these possibilities, isn't it? Like just exactly like the notion of keeping us in the dark instead of like getting us ready. There was the CIA paper, and I'm sure you're aware of it, that got declassified some decades, some long time ago, and people dug it up. And basically the document, and it was obviously an error, they accidentally declassified this.
The
Or
Adam and Eve
it's
one?
very careful. Sorry?
The Adam and Eve story?
Is that with the storms?
It's with the polar flip.
And that there would be waves 1,000 meters high,
Yeah.
and weather patterns of like wind that's basically like 500, 600 miles per hour wind storms that basically like we see what happens when the wind travels at 120 miles per hour, right? Mm-hmm. It causes trouble. Like a 250 mile per hour wind, that'll flatten a city. You know, 500 mile per hour wind will just flatten everything in its way. And we're aware of all these underground cities they've been building. In fact, they made one available for real estate purchase in the UK about 15 years ago, I think. Was it 12 years ago, 15? I remember I was in the UK at the time, and I was shocked. And this had roads, had underground farms. It had everything you needed. And it was a completely sealed up system. Like, what on earth would they be building cities underground for?
The weird thing is,
and it was built in the Second World War.
Like, are they gonna really be able to seal it from something like a 1,000-foot tidal wave, like that they say would happen if something like that did happen? I don't know if they could. Yeah,
I mean, apparently this system was built to be hermetically sealable in the event of an atomic war. That's like the reasoning behind it. So basically, it's like a huge underground bunker.
Because, like, if you think about it, they'd have to know exactly how high the waters would come in so they could actually have something going to the surface above the water. Or they're all going to, suffocate down there. I mean, if there are winds, if this paper, so this paper could just be, it could be clever counterintelligence to get the conspiracy theorists talking about, 500 mile per hour winds, which is just ludicrous. But I'm pretty sure a 500 mile per hour wind would flatten anything. I don't think there's anything. The only thing you could do would be to hollow out a mountain like Mount Kailash. Right? And now Mount Kailash, I don't know if you followed this. There's seems to be some technology. There seems to be something happening at Mount Kailash. Yeah, airplanes, helicopters can't fly past it. People climb up there, they come down. They've aged significantly. The young people that have climbed quite high have all passed away from old age, within 5 years, 6 years later. So you could be in your 20s, 30s, and you climb up there. Within 5-10 years, you pass away of old age. Really? That's weird.
This is a phenomenon. This has happened. Nobody has ever climbed Mount Kailash, which is bizarre because we've climbed all the other mountains. It's the only mountain in the world that no one has climbed. And you know what? It's not as high as Mount Everest. There are actually more difficult mountains to climb. The reason no one has climbed it is that everybody that has ever tried to climb it have reported weird stuff. psychological weird stuff, emotionally weird stuff, weird experiences. Time seems to slow down when you climb the mountain, then it seems to speed up. There's like time anomalies. The people don't know what's going on. They don't know what time of day it is. They don't know. They become so disoriented that they can't even operate with what direction they're moving in. All their equipment goes haywire. Helicopters can't fly near to Mount Kailash, can't fly over it. Airplanes can't fly over it. They fly over other mountains, right? Aircrafts fly at 25,000 feet, some of them. Yeah, they can fly over these mountains. These mountains are only about 18,000 feet. You can clear that mountain by 2,000 feet. Even a commercial airliner will fly at 20 to 25,000 feet with having 6,000 or 7,000 feet clearance over the mountain. There's no physical reason, but nothing flies over Kailash airspace, because whenever anything tries to fly near it, the equipment goes completely on the blaz. Their altitudeometers don't work. Their GPS doesn't work. Nothing works.
Reminds me of sounds like the Devil's Pass incident, or there's a few different ones that are like that, where the people they start running, taking off their clothes. They have like really bad radiation, or their bodies are crushed. Their tongues are like ripped out. Very random, crazy injuries that don't make any sense.
Where is that?
That one was in Russia, but there's like two different places where this has happened that I know of.
I give you my word, I will get rid of that tablet if you don't close the door and go away now. Sorry.
No problem, no problem.
He hasn't touched his tablet in a month, and I asked him nicely not to come and disturb me, but he just comes in blurting, and I'm having to teach him like respect lines, and like we're at that point where I'm like, I'm gonna get rid of your tablet, boy. I'm going to give it to somebody that deserves it. Like, he loves that tablet of his because he wants to learn to use it. But so you were saying, dear brother.
Yes, so the Devil's Pass is the Dilatov Pass, same thing, like they're interchangeable names basically, and that's in Russia. Yekaterina, I can't even pronounce that. It's in the Ural Mountains.
I mean, I've seen conspiracy theory stories about Russian troops turning to stone.
Oh yeah, I've seen some of this. This is that's like a story about the war during one of the wars. So the soldiers experienced like a UFO, and it shot like a ray of something at them that turned them to stone. Basically, I heard that story before.
That would be some serious induced vibration.
Yeah.
And it would probably be running through the atmosphere in order to change the vibrational state of the molecules and atoms in the body. It's quite a scary thought. Maybe it's a temporal wave that causes your body to become like in the future. Like if you your body would turn to stone, wouldn't it? And we hear about this, but it's very interesting. Like you say about this place. It makes me think about, for example, it was last month. Was it just over a month ago? Just over a month ago, we had snow. Yeah, it was in late March. We had snow in Natal. Okay, so to give you some like our winter is March to April to May to June. Late June, our winter starts. Barely. July is cold. August is the coldest. Our coldest point in winter is the beginning of August, the end of July. Right. March to April to May to June to July. That's 4 months away. We don't get that kind of snow in the middle of winter, ever. But just over a month ago, we got it in autumn. And not just in autumn, but in the middle of autumn. Now, the usual winter temperatures there should be about 15 degrees centigrade.
Yeah, it's low.
Which is typically like almost t-shirt weather. The UK people would be out in their t-shirts, burning their necks, making their necks red, you know. And So, like, this is by the sea. It's next to the Indian Ocean, which is a warm Benguela current. It's high humidity place. Like, it's just bizarre that you could get weather like this. Snow. South Africa doesn't snow, full stop.
Yeah.
We don't
Yeah.
get snow.
Hmm.
But like, so this was like the most rarest form of weather, and has obviously got to do with these extreme temperature inversions in the higher altitudes in the atmosphere. But the fact that there were snow crystals means this must be some form of what we're talking about, induced atmospheric vibration causing weird reactions in the weather. And so it's no wonder to me that this happens when there are earthquakes happening, because these, if it is induced atmospheric vibration, that's obviously going to affect the topography of the earth, because it's literally what it is. It's vibration. So any fault lines are likely to be triggered. So if it is atmospheric vibration, as we assume it is, then we expect earthquakes and we expect weird weather. And it wasn't very hot weather, by the way, out there. I mean, it's spring now, right?
Yeah, and they had no crazy earthquakes or anything like that either.
Yeah. But you would expect it to be happening somewhere else on the planet, because the ionosphere is obviously like that, right? It's like it's a whole field. If there's a blip here, there should be another blip somewhere else, because that's how fields work.
Yeah, yeah.
Compensating for field strength.
Opposite ends, at least.
Yeah. So it's quite intense. And now, if we step into this HAARP, what does that stand for? You know, don't you? Atmospheric.
Why can't I remember it? Let me see. High Frequency Active Aura Research Program. That's what it is.
High Frequency Active Oral Research
Aurora.
Program. So,
Active Aurora Research Program. Sorry, I said Aura.
an induced atmospheric vibration has got to do with the vibrating frequencies of the ionosphere and high amounts of high frequency and energy changing the vibration. So, like, we can see that, have they been playing with the weather to such an extent that this is a fallout? Is this an accident, or, and it gets better, is this an attempt to overthrow the Spanish government?
Is it? I mean, it could be. The weird thing is, if they pushed it immediately, I would say 100% man-made. But maybe they weren't expecting it.
I saw it in the UK news.
Or maybe, yes.
Being
So maybe
broadcasted at the British.
Oh, that's strange then.
And they were talking about how the guy and they were talking about how it's voting season now, and how that it's really falls down to him, because this is not the first time it's happened. It happened in 2004 or 2 or whenever it was. And it's got to do with the oversight committee, and basically the government needs to take responsibility, and it's voting season. And the insinuation was like, it's very unlikely that this guy's going to get into office because of this. Which is obviously a counterintelligence program running propaganda machine, which is what they do.
Yeah. And I wouldn't expect he would get in anyways if they don't want him in at this point. I guess it's,
No.
I mean, it could be also just a testing, seeing how powerful their machinery is. Hit Spain, no one cares about Spain. Hit Portugal and Spain.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Namaste, dear Mexico. How are you doing? I hope you're good. I hope you're having a good morning. It was a good time on the mountain. So that the whole idea behind this, behind this occurrence, to me seems like there's layers that we need to peel away, and it I don't know if it's not related to a lot of the topics that we've had here, because I'm someone who doesn't know the shape of the earth, and I'm comfortable with not knowing what the earth is. Is it a toroidic field that renders? Okay. Is it a ball? Is it an egg? Is it flat? Is it concave? Like there seems to be a lot of evidence that reflects concave Earth. There seems to be evidence that reflects flat Earth. There seems to be some evidence that tries to reflect around Earth. There seems to be, some kind of concept and evidence that circumstantially could reflect that we're living in a paradigm of a multiverse, of a toroidic expression of multidimensional reality, and that it's being rendered that we're in a a false paradigm. And honestly, I think it's probably a little bit of all of it. As weird as that sounds, like I'm happy not knowing, because to me, it is a multidimensional reality from my experience, and there's definitely a lot more going on here. I think of the forces of nature as being living beings. So here's an interesting concept from a shamanic perspective, and people would say, well, that's superstition. And I go, well, superstition. What is superstition? What is stition? Station. Your perspective is coming from super mundane perspectives of reality, superstition, instead of just looking at things from like the materialist perspective, like what is the source of materialist. So I think superstition has been like given a bad blog. So to me, when I consider it, I think of reality. I consider reality as being a string of living consciousnesses all strung together and in a state of cooperation. Namaste, Vincent. How are you doing? I hope you're good, man. And so, to me, the forces of nature are living beings. Now, are we prodding these living beings with technology? And can they react? Can they become annoyed and angry? And in the old times, people would say, oh, the god of thunder is angry. And now we go, oh, these poor fools. And I'm actually going, oh, were they really fools? Maybe there is a god of thunder, and maybe they can get pissed off. And maybe when you piss them off, this is what happens, Yeah.
There's an interesting theory put forth by, oh man, I want to remember their name. What the hell is their name? It's called, oh man, I gotta look it up, because if I don't get it right, I don't think I could just totally throw their thing out without giving them at least a shout out. They're called Angel something. Have you heard of these guys? The guys who basically have mapped out the entire Earth and and as many rainbows and double rainbows and triple rainbows. Oh, FPV Angel. There you go. FPV Angel has a YouTube channel, and basically they hypothesize that the actual particle accelerators underneath the ground are natural, and we found them. And these are actually the sort of organic, angelic entities that are being artificially used to create various effects.
Who are these people? Could you put it into the chat, into the group chat for us?
Let me find their link. I think their channel name is called FPV Angel, but I'll put it in the link. 1 second. Yeah, that's it. They stream
FPV. Interesting. And so they reckon that everything in the universe is living beings, right?
Well,
is that correct?
It basically would all be stemming from these angelic particle accelerators that create the universe around us, or the world, or the Earth, I guess, around us. And then that would also happen. I guess they'd be all over the place. These, I guess they view the angelic kind of, what would it be? The sort of structure of angels, or the hierarchy of angels, as a sort of more like organic machinery. That's a natural part of the realm. Yeah.
Yeah. Organic machinery, intelligent organic machinery, living. It makes sense when we consider the idea of free will.
Yeah. It's interesting.
Why do humans have free will?
I wish I could talk more like intelligently on their theory, because they have a lot of information on their YouTube channel, and it's way too much for me to friggin' dive into, especially if it's not really something I'm totally in agreement with. It's interesting though. Absolutely interesting.
Yeah, man, if you could stick that into the private chat as well for me, that'd be great, because
Yeah.
I can't really access the link while it's in chat for some reason. Very weird how that works.
There you go.
But that is an interesting consideration, because like I've always thought of this, and I think like organic machinery is just fancy words as well for saying that it's living beings that operate in less of a free will zone than what we do.
Yeah, I mean, well, they'd be like toroidal fields that are like able to produce matter.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
And so it stands to reason that I mean this is when we go back to the original creation stories, right? It involves that there was this
Just lost you for a second, but you're back now.
this single being, right? This Yaldabaoth, or whatever one you want to call him, depends on the culture you follow with relation to it. And to me, it just seems like it's definitely an important consideration that this being then took part of itself to create other beings. And those beings took parts of themselves to create other beings. And so that all the beings are created out of beings are created out of beings. And the idea of creating a being out of your own substance is like a very interesting concept. And so like what we're talking about here makes perfect sense.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that my toroidic field created another toroidic field, which is a being like me. And each toroidic field became more structured until the structure of the toroidic field was experienced as a final cause matter. It makes perfect sense. And, you know, it's these 9 spheres that blow my mind. I was actually talking about it today to a brother in a group or recently, and maybe last night. And these 9 sort of states of being, like I've experienced shifting through these toroidic fields of consciousness, and each one is more ecstatic than the one before it. And the ecstasy is so intense that when you're in that state of, like, when you get to the 9th field of this awareness, like, the idea of not having a body doesn't bug. Because it's like, there seems like there's this final place you got to go through. And traveling through that, knowing that you're not coming back, is like, gosh, like, so what? Like, I won't have a body. Like, really, like, you know, as if this is like a, you know, a problem. And you've got to be pretty high in emotional states. And I remember going through these fields. It was like one morning I decided, you know what, I'm done. I'm going to sit here until I'm fully enlightened. And I got into the lotus posture, and I just sat for like, 5-6 hours through the pain and the agony of everything. And I was like, I'm done with all of this crap. I am done. I'm doing this now. And I went through each octave shift, and it was like more ecstasy and more ecstasy and more ecstasy. And then there was this brotherhood above me. And they were like, there was like this council, and they were like on the other end of this membrane, and they were like basically talking to me. They were saying, listen, you can't go through here. And I was like, oh, I can't, can I? You're going to stop me. Good luck with that. And I started like focusing my awareness, because like I want to go through, I want to see everything, and I want to see everything. And they were like, no, you're not ready. You've got more work to do here. You're not ready. And like, who were these fellas?
What they look like?
Who were these guys?
Did they look human, or did they look? forms, like energy
they
forms.
understand that I was in such a multi-dimensional state that bodies weren't, but there was these forms of like white, man, it's like biblical, man.
Like luminous
It's
beings.
like these white robed figures that seemed like human. And they were like in a circle, and they were communicating with me telepathically. So there was no words. They were just communicating with me directly. And I decided I'm not having any of this nonsense. I don't know who you are. I don't know why you think you can tell me I shouldn't do this. I'm a rebel. I'm going to do this. And they actually pulled my mother out of her bed and brought her to me. And like I was about to pierce that final veil, and they showed me my mother, and I was like, whoa. And I had flashes of like things that have to happen. And they were like, she's going to need you. This was why they brought her there. And she woke up after this experience because she was there.
It does
in
sound a
her
bit
bed.
manipulative, though, doesn't it, too? At the same time, these
It
things could have been
feels like it.
manipulating. Yeah.
But they were like saying to me that if you go through here, you lose your body.
So they say.
This
we
is
don't
like
know.
the final frontier. You
Yeah.
can't come back. And
Because
I
I
was
was
like-
it's like, why did they?
I don't mind. Life,
Yeah.
death, it's all good to me. It's all the same to me, you know? And, but then when I saw my mom, like that she would be alone and she hadn't seen her son and she had wished me like bliss, like basically how often is it when, how old was I? Gosh, I must have been like 22, 23. And I'm like, Mom, I'm going on an incredible journey. I'm going to go to the Himalayas. I'm going to give up. I've given up everything here. I'm going to give up everything. I'm going to go and live barefoot in the jungles. I'm going to go and follow this path wherever it takes me. And I don't know when I'm going to be back. Like, can you imagine a mother, her only son? Like, okay, my boy, there's blessings. Go follow your heart. Like,
Yeah.
so 20 years, she hardly saw me. Hardly had any interactions with me. And, so I sort of felt like I should be here at some point. So my mom gets to,
Yeah.
gets to have a grandkid, gets to, experience all of this life. But it's sort of, I suppose, part of why I felt I needed to have a child. Like to keep that chain of life moving through me and my mom and my father and make the ancestral line continue, which is an interesting concept. But you're right, it sounds manipulative, doesn't it?
Well, I've heard obviously stories of more so when it's not like the person knows they're dealing with an alien or not an alien, but like a interdimensional, not human. Actually, 'cause I don't really know what the hell they are, or maybe it's a fake hologram and the U.S. military projects are blasting into their brain, dealing with something that they're not used to, that they think is non-humanity. And they'll often slip into like a family member's body and show up in like a dream state sort of thing, make them either go with the entities or do something that they wouldn't normally have done if that family member wasn't there. So it's definitely not the first time I've heard something being used to make someone do something.
I don't know if it was my internet or your internet, but it seemed like there was a
I saw that too.
little bit of a glitchy thing, and I don't think it's my internet, and I'm pretty sure that your internet's probably pretty good, right?
I'm on Ethernet right now. I'm gonna actually put my Wi-Fi on too, just in case for some reason the Ethernet's blinking. It is blinking a lot. All those, like all three lights are blinking, which is weird. It might have just reset for some reason.
Ah, okay, so it is an internet issue. Okay, that makes sense because
It might be. I'm not really sure if that's supposed to be doing that or not. Maybe it's just for a second. I'm gonna put the Wi-Fi on at the same time, just in case one goes out, the other will pick up. So we'll see what happens. It should be fine.
Wow.
Yeah, it's weird. I haven't been having any issues at all
That's
lately.
interesting.
So.
Like, I shouldn't have such a slow internet connection, but it's operating. I mean, it's there's not a problem with it.
Yeah, mine is actually
But
still.
it should be running faster than what it is.
Mine's saying good
just-
speed too.
I mean, I've got 30 megabyte per second upload and 30 megabyte per second download actual speed tests with a 5 millisecond ping. So there's nothing else on this internet at the moment. So there should be no issues, right?
Yeah,
We're not running
438.
more than
I got 438 Mbps. So what is that? Megabytes per second? Yeah.
43. Yeah.
430.
Exactly.
No,
I've got like
400.
30.
438. Not 43.
Oh, 430. I normally have 250.
Yeah.
But like it doesn't make a difference because we're only using about 15 megabyte per second.
Yeah. Which is weird.
Like
so
that.
it's like, why are we?
Yeah,
getting
yeah,
delay?
yeah. Which is like it's to do with the ping rate. You know that ping rate?
Mm-hmm.
Like that's what I've realized is the one that matters. Like my ping rate is 5 milliseconds. Now it's 6 milliseconds. So it's interesting. But it gives me a point to reach out and speak to my company. You know,
I was thinking about
'cause
getting
I'm
fiber
paying
put
them
in.
for more.
Yeah. I'm thinking about getting fiber
it
put
is
in
fiber.
here.
You've got fiber, yeah?
No, not right now. But I think I want to get it because this just goes out. It goes out a lot for no reason. And the woman across has fiber. Even when like the fires were going on, she was like the only one with internet. If she didn't have
Yeah,
internet,
I've got fiber.
yeah, if
I'm
she
running
didn't
on
have-
fiber.
Yeah, fiber's great, right? That doesn't
Yeah,
really go out.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's that ping rate that I'm talking about. On fiber, like I'm being throttled for some reason. I don't understand why, because I've got a premium package, like, you know. But it's that ping rate that's how many milliseconds does it, you know, the delay.
Yeah.
When you got like 5 milliseconds of delay or 6 milliseconds, that's like good. That's like that when you switch to fiber, it'll go from like 15 milliseconds, 20 milliseconds down to like 5. And that really is like, it gives you that coherency. But yeah, everything seems like it's back. It could have been mine, could have been yours, could have been StreamYard. You never know.
Yeah.
Though it's very interesting. Thanks a million, Vincent. Thanks a million, Mexico. So yeah, you were saying, what were you saying a moment ago? Because I didn't catch it.
Was it about the just about how I've heard stories of people interacting with what they think might be a non-human entity and them using like a family member and stepping into the family member's body to make them do something. So it's not completely unheard of.
Yeah, you can imagine that this would be the fastest way to, they do that too, don't they? Like if you know something that the 3-letter agency doesn't want you to know, they don't threaten your life. They go for your kids and your parents and your cousins and your brothers and your aunties and your uncles and your girlfriend and, those are the ones that are going to suffer. So obviously, like, you'd have to be a narcissist to just, like, say, well, I'm still going to fight this fight against you guys. Yeah. I've got the documents.
And it's hard to know if what you're dealing with, and like on top of it, like if it's an actual threat or if it's just like a bluff.
Well, when somebody in a black suit rocks up with photographs of your sleeping family in their beds, and they say like, next time these photographs will be all you'll have to remember them by.
Yeah.
We have access. There's the photos. You've seen them. We've got access to your family. We were in their home. We were standing over the bed. Yeah. The guy had a machete, like a photograph of a machete. Photograph of a machete with your family in the background, sleeping, in their beds. That's like the kind of, when you get like that kind of a threat or something that like somebody doesn't want me to talk. And even if you know it's true, you'd still like, you'd be hard pressed. I think this is how they get a lot of these people like this Alex Jones and, you know, everybody that maybe starts off with a better intention. Who knows? The guy might have been crooked from the beginning. We don't know. He had some interesting affiliations and friends, but back in his college days. But that doesn't mean that he wasn't like, maybe because he had interesting college friends, he found out stuff he shouldn't have found out when they were like getting stoned or whatever. And it made him think, wow, this can't be true. Maybe he was legit and genuinely like, no, I know because I've got friends who know this stuff. I need to tell the world. And maybe he was legit until they got hold of him and said, oh, your kids. Yeah. Okay, well, we're going to clean you out. You owe us $1 billion, by the way. He was like, $1 billion. I don't have that. It's like, yeah, don't worry.
Yeah.
We'll insolvent you, take everything you own, put you in debt, and take your kids away. Put them into homes. We'll hold your wife accountable too. We'll mess up her life. So she won't want to have anything to do with you.
Yeah, and then after a while it gets so much that it's almost like, I'm sure a lot of them are just like, Jesus, they're offering me a bunch of money. Why don't I just, they're not even asking me to do that much. It's just like once in a while say something that's not,
I've just got to let that dog in before he scratches all the paint off my
Yeah,
talk.
I was actually I was gonna run really fast, put one of my long sleeve shirts on. I'm back in 2 seconds too, or I'll wait for Franklin to get back, then I'll do it. But good seeing everyone in the chat. Mexico, Vincent, good success. How's everyone doing? You guys having a good morning or evening? Is it morning or evening where y'all are? All right, I was gonna run and put a long sleeve shirt on really fast. I'll be right back now. One sec.
Big love. Yeah, so I think it's a very interesting dilemma and a dynamic that we've experienced here in Scotland and in Spain. And I think I've been watching a lot of these earthquakes, a lot of these natural phenomenon, a lot of these crazy weather phenomenon. And in my mind, it does seem like it's a natural occurrence, but I think it's not just a natural occurrence. I think there's a lot more going on here. And I do think that we need to start paying attention to exactly what kind of technology is being released. I think that's the key. Like a lot of the technology, like the 5G. Could 5G... Okay, so most of the 5G real estate hasn't been bought. Right?
It doesn't seem like
when
it's
this
active
5G
everywhere where it should
Sorry?
be. It doesn't seem like it's active everywhere where they said it would be at this point yet.
Well, that's just it. They've put in the infrastructure, but the real estate hasn't been bought. So, like, imagine you've got like so much energy required to carry so much bandwidth, but you've got the potential to carry 20 times as much bandwidth, which would take 20 times as much energy. Once the real estate has been sold for that bandwidth, then they need to put the code in, and then the packets are moving. So the packets are not moving. I think once they get all the packets moving on that field, it will be very intensive on the hardware. Can you imagine?
Well, what's interesting though is that I feel like a lot of devices aren't going to be 5G capable, and I don't think people are going to upgrade because they're broke. My phone's not. I have the iPhone 11. Like iPhones didn't become 5G capable, I don't think till 12 or 13. So, I mean, that could be slowing them down.
I don't know. Most of the phones in South Africa these days are.
If you don't have an iPhone, you have an Android.
Yeah, I'm running a Samsung.
Yeah,
I'm running an old Samsung.
They've been.
I'm running the S21 FE.
I mean, we could look, but a lot of these Androids have been 5G capable for way longer than the iPhones. They're much more, just better phones, really. The iPhones were pretty late to adopt it.
Yeah, I think um, the S20 has been 5G capable in Samsung, which is like the S21 FE. I think the phone that I've got is about 3 years old in terms
Okay.
of its release date, 4 years old.
It's
It's not a
probably
new phone.
it probably is then. It probably is though, because yeah, I'm looking now even at the iPhone. So the 12 was the first one, so that's the one right after mine. My phone's freaking old. The 11's quite old.
Yeah. So I think like when you replace that phone, you're going to have a 5G phone.
I'm never replacing it. I'm gonna try to keep it as long as possible.
Yeah, no, I get you. But like what will happen, this is
Oh,
how
I
these
know.
buggers
Everything's gonna
operate.
slow down.
They
like
will get
crazy.
to the point where they no longer keep you safe.
Yeah. Yeah.
In other words, the security support, and so you'll be hackable. And not only that, a lot of your apps won't work because the support for the apps will stop, and companies will stop providing the app to that old phone, and so the phone will become like almost obsolete.
Yeah.
And like I know, like I got a notification on one of my apps just on my phone yesterday. I had to look what version of Android I'm running. It was like, we're discontinuing version 10 of the Android. And I looked, oh, I've got version 14. Cool. These phones update to the latest version of Android, right? Which is the latest running version. Which is cool if you've got like a phone with the hardware that can, but like a lot of those older phones, they make it that they can't run anything old past a certain form of Android. Or I'm sure it's the same for iPhone.
Oh yeah.
So
Just as
these
bad.
companies are like they're nasty. How long have you had your phone? More than 5 years.
Yeah, I think I got it maybe 4 years ago, maybe because I had the 7 before this, and then I got the 11. Yeah, but I also replaced it once because I got to have insurance on it, and it was acting weird. So they gave me a brand new iPhone 11. They didn't upgrade it. They just gave me another 11 Pro, whatever it is, 11 Pro, I think.
Ah,
So I was like, oh, that's good. So now it's working totally like it's brand new again. But we'll see how every time they
how long ago
upgrade
did
the
you upgrade it? How long ago did you replace it?
I was living here, so it had to be like 2 years ago. So it's only like 2.5 years
Okay,
old.
so your
maybe.
battery's still good.
Yeah.
Because that's what happens is the battery will start to become weaker, and
The
but the
operating
iPhones have got pretty
system-
solid technology in them, and they've got good batteries and stuff, so they
But
probably
they
will
do
last a
the
bit longer.
controlled obsolescence with the operating systems. They will make it so you can't use, like you said, they'll make it so I can't use it eventually. It'll be impossible with the updates.
Yeah, it's very interesting because, like, I wonder, um, the Secret Service called you Ivana Trump. Well, like, we it's interesting how these three-letter agencies do operate. I mean, I was literally drugged by the MI5.
That's not
They
fun.
drugged me, and they put me in this room, like literally, and the police took me in, but didn't press charges. I was like, well, why are you holding me if you're not pressing charges? They wouldn't say anything. Then these two gentlemen came and fetched me, and they like identified themselves as being like, MI5. I was like, okay. And they took me to this place, like this room, and it was all like organized. The cops basically just handed me to them. And they sat me down and they started reading to me from this national security documents that I was supposed to acknowledge. And basically it was like a terrorist sort of thing. They were trying to like make me out because I had started an organization in the UK that was like a big activist ring, and we were taking UBS to court,
Mhm.
and I had organized some protests on the streets, not by myself. There was like three of us that really were like, doing it, but two of us had been taken in by the cops. They couldn't find the third guy. So myself and Phoenix were taken in, and they took in one of our guys who was with us. They thought he was the other guy, but they were wrong. But he was part of our on the case crew. He wasn't one of the masterminds, but he was definitely part of our like important crew. And so, you know, I can believe what these guys are capable of. Luckily, I had a Queen's Counsel to protect me. Like when you got a QC, those are like the highest barristers in the UK, and a team of barristers and a team of lawyers that worked under them, like pro bono. And we were like high profile media, so like, you know, in the news and stuff. So they had to be a little bit careful to what they did, if that makes sense, because like, you know, we had a media presence. But it's just very interesting that like we talk about these. Don't do it. I love you more than anything in the world. Thank you for the good luck. He's been outside chasing the guinea fowls. He saw me looking in through the window just now. He knows he's going to be in trouble because I don't like him messing with the guinea fowls. No, well, I mean, they come here to get the crumbs that we give them from our stale bread, you know. And they're like part of the family, but he finds it fun to like chase them and freak them out and swing sticks at them, which I don't like him doing. But yeah, so like my point being, like, these organizations can basically keep anything a secret. Yeah, they'll use all sorts of arm-bending tactics to make sure that the truth doesn't come out. So we really can't rely on anything. We can't rely on any information that we get, which is a little bit scary. Like even the disinformation, even the truther community, even these YouTube channels, right? They could be either bought and paid for, or somebody got busted with substances.
Yeah, no, we're screwed.
And the charges haven't been pressed. And they say, well, we won't press charges, but we notice you've got a YouTube channel. We can use that.
Yeah.
You work for us now.
Yeah, we're
It's
screwed.
that easy.
We're screwed at this point. There's too many ways for them to disseminate information, and no one knows what to think anymore.
Think about it like this. Do most people in the truther community use substances?
Of course.
So it wouldn't be impossible for you to be driving in your car, smoking a reefer, right? And the cops pull you over, and there's like a whole lot of cops there with body cams, and there's like 2 keys in your boot. And you're like, oh, that's not mine. I didn't put that there.
We have a lot of problems, and I don't know how the hell we're gonna get past a lot of this.
Do you know what I mean? That kind of thing could happen so easily.
So easily.
So they could literally go and target the people, and you wouldn't have much of a defense, because they can show you on your YouTube smoking cannabis. So you can't say that you've got nothing to do with cannabis. You obviously are, you know, and you might have a grow set up at home because you're growing your own, but they could now argue that you're a distributor, and, you know, like there's so many ways, and that's one very easy way for them to mess your life up.
Yep.
With serious jail time.
And just one way, like you said, there's many.
I had a false case made against me in Himachal Pradesh.
Okay.
And the guy wanted to put on makeup that I had like a whole lot of stuff on me. I was actually caught with a small amount, 150 grams of beautiful hashish. Charis. Oh, beautiful. And in that place, that's not a lot. You have to have like huge amounts, because that was counting as a small amount there. But basically, he spoke to the chief, And he was like, I've got a couple of kilos in the back. Should we just throw it on him? You know?
Yeah.
And because I understand Hindi. And the guy said, nah, don't. We don't need it now. Keep it, kind of thing. And then the chief had me brought to him, and they wanted me to organize all the side trance parties in the Himachal. And because you're not allowed to throw side trance parties out there. But because I know a lot of people, and I knew a lot of people, and I was well known, they knew who I was. So that's why they came after me. Because they noticed this guy, him and his girlfriend, everybody knows these guys. Wherever they go, there's a big group of people, and they're always in the center of a social whatever. And everybody knows me, and because maybe we rocked up there on our infield looking pretty cool or whatever, and speaking the language, speaking Hindi, speaking the Pahari, speaking all the languages, they realized these are proper old school India travelers, and they connected to all of the travelers that come to India. Basically anybody who comes to India, we pretty much knew them, and internationally. So, and the irony of it is, I did know all the people throwing the side trance parties. I was in a position to make a lot of money, basically, because you're not allowed to. But the chief, he brought me in, and he said to me, "This is how it will work. Every party, I'm going to need so many thousands of dollars. That's how this will work. $2,000 or $3,000 to me for every party. And if there's 50 parties in a season, to him, that's another $150K on the side. But that's just one of his hustles, right? Mm-hmm. And then obviously those parties are big bucks, but the problem with those parties is people are moving the kind of substances you don't want to be, Yeah. So I I found a way to slide through all of that and sidestep all of that. But anyway, this is how it works. This is how these people operate. They basically put you in a position to, where they can cause your life to be a big problem. And they will use unscrupulous, and that's just some corrupt guy wanting to make a bit of money. Imagine a big organization that's got something serious to hide. So back on to point, induced atmospheric vibration. Brains, consciousness, the effects of these vibrational fields, because vibration affects electrical impulse, right? Acoustics. And so you can amplify. I don't know if you've seen it, and some years ago a friend and myself were looking into how having an electric field which is not using the AC that we're used to, right? Using the original, not the AC/DC, the DC current. Yeah? Using a DC electrical field, you can, through induction, increase the voltage. Have you come across this? Mm-hmm. So if you've got a induction field that you're creating, right? You can use a field to piggyback another field to increase the voltage of the original field. Yeah. So that you can have like a 12-volt battery,
like a daisy chain,
that's running a field that's generating 5 times as much current as the 5-volt is generating, using 1/5 of that to power that field and putting the other 4/5 into another induced electrical field, which is upping that from 4 times that to 30 times that. Mm-hmm. And then you putting that into another induced field. And my friend played with this. And with a small battery, he got shocked so badly that he got picked up and thrown across the room. Right?
Yeah, I believe it. Yeah, no, I believe it.
A 12-volt battery threw him across the room. It made a crack so loud he thought he had blown up his house. he got thrown across the room against the wall. He was lucky to be alive. And he was I'm not playing with this stuff again. Because he's a bit of an engineer brain. And he was showing me what he's doing at home. And I was dude, that sounds hectic. And And he finally started to make some breakthrough, but he said, no, it's just too dangerous. Like it's just not right. Because of all this Tesla idea of current in the air. And this has got to do with the vibrations. So the frequencies of the electromagnetic field of the electrical impulse rate is creating its own resonant field that brushes against the resonant field of the other electromagnetic field, which then causes like standing waves of potential power, which causes it to become faster and faster and more and more and more and more and more. And so like this is what I think the idea behind the induced atmospheric vibration is that it creates this proverbial standing wave that causes the electrical current running through the system to get too high. So the voltage gets too high and burns out the circuits.
But I don't know if it's well, is it because it's a DC? Are they injecting DC into the AC system and the AC system can't handle it, basically, and the pulses become too high and oscillations basically at some point become unstable, it seems like.
I think that when we're dealing with lightning, we're dealing with DC. I think when we're dealing with natural electricity, we're dealing with DC. Is that correct?
No, absolutely.
And it's the DC fields that can actually induce this resonance. You can't induce it with an AC field, apparently. When I'm not an electrician, I'm not that clued. My friend's a builder, and
I'm not sure. I'm not totally sure about that.
But what he said was that you need to use DC, and then the DC can amplify the AC, which is an interesting concept.
So the DC amplifies the AC.
Yeah. So like the AC can then raise its frequency too high. So it's supposed to be like in Europe, it's 50 hertz, right? So it can do two things. It can raise the frequency and it can raise the voltage, which would cause all of the circuit breaker fuses, the big circuit breaker fuses, to pop. And they'd literally have to go and replace them all, right, in order to get it back up and running.
Yeah.
So it's very interesting, just to...
and also, it seems like a lot of the problems specifically with AC, I think health-wise, come from pulses in the AC. And you'll actually see this happening with our internet, even as we go on and off. And it's like our internet is pulsing. The power is like not steady the way it should be. And this is a problem with the entire grid, apparently. We're getting pulses of energy, and these pulses, I think, are what they found even when people putting cell phones to their head were actually the main thing causing DNA damage. It wasn't like the fact that we had a cell phone. It was like the fact that the energy from the cell phone was pulsed, like the signal was pulsed, and your body like couldn't handle the freaking highs and lows.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. Because obviously the integrity of the atoms in the DNA, because the DNA, the molecules are made out of atoms, and so the integrity of the atoms can be affected, causing the DNA to want to unravel, which is what I think cancer seems to be.
I mean, you're getting microwave. You're getting a microwave basically at some point when the power gets high enough, and if you're not getting microwave, you're getting hit with just an electric field that is not healthy.
Yeah, that Hell's Bells is a pretty cool track, huh? AC/DC, I gotta admit, old school. And Highway to Hell as well. Those are pretty cool tracks, but especially the Hell's Bells is a really good track. But it's interesting, like just looking at how our systems are, and like you say, the microwave frequencies. Maybe I've often wondered why there's this inconsistency of resonance in the electric field, because we're still using pretty much the same electrical infrastructure we were using when I was a kid. But the electricity was stable. I've noticed now when I put I use incandescent light bulbs.
Me too.
They don't last, huh? Now,
Mine will
the
last,
logical
but
thought...
but once in a while they'll flicker. This is actually, I think, a fake one. This might be an LED, but this one here is real. And it's okay right now, but every once in a while, it'll start like going low and high, but it's a dimmable one. So it's okay. Like it doesn't, if it was a regular one, it might die.
Yeah, I can't find dimmer bulb.
I know,
bulbs.
I found it a while ago, and I don't even know if it's supposed to be or not, but it seems like it's been
that would be
okay.
a good idea to try and find the ones made for dimmer bulbs. But like you say, these electric surges are more of a thing.
Yeah.
And you need to have surge protectors on your plugs, and these electrical frequencies are not so consistent. And because I've got a backup electrical thing, I plug it into mains and it shows me what's coming out of the mains, and what's coming out of the mains isn't a consistent sine wave. Yeah. Yeah.
And you could, it
makes me think like, that wouldn't have been like that when I was young.
No.
Because you put a bulb in, the bulb would last long.
I think part of it is they are nano-doping a lot of the wires, trying to get more energy than they actually should be out of it. And that's causing like overloads. Basically, you're too much power to the grid when it wasn't built to handle that much. And then you also have, I think this is what they're running, like their Voices Skull type stuff is running, like a lot of it's running on the grid. And they're running it through pulses. Like if you watch, like look out for Charlie's videos, like he literally films one of his incandescent bulbs, I think on his ceiling, just flickering one, like, because it flickers sometimes. And you can't hear anything in the video, but when he goes in and shows you the audio, he boosts it up and he literally pulls out a sine wave speech voice that if you were someone who was sensitive to that, you would be hearing the sine wave speech voice talking shit basically to you in your ear, telling you to kill yourself or something.
Well, that makes a lot of sense, because my child was speaking some senseless nonsense repetitively a little while ago. And I was like, what the crap?
You want to know what's really interesting? And I don't know why the heck Charlie hasn't really said much about this in his video. I haven't heard anyone really say anything about this, but to me it was interesting. Yeah. He made a new machine, right? And it gets the sine wave type of audio out of the pulsed electricity and the pulsed fields from whatever networks are putting off the pulses much easier than he used to be able to get it. Like almost it runs straight through it, and he can get like direct speech pretty much in his system coming out of it. But the voices sound like they have autism. They're sine waves, so they're not human speech. It's not a human recording. It's like you're playing a synthesizer and it's making speech waves, basically. It's like how this is operating. So it's like an AI making speech through MIDI files almost. But when it's played back through his system and it's like the clearest he's gotten it, it always sounds like it has autism or like a little bit of Down syndrome or something. Like it's like, and I'm like, is that why all these kids are starting, like, is that another reason just why they have these weird speech impediments, why they're talking strange, because they're hearing this shit all night?
I tell you what, man, I was looking and I think like they what you're saying, I think there's something to it. I think on an even more objective level, like I noticed he was looking at this stuff on his mother's laptop, and there was this game that he liked to play, and the game was called Obongo, and there's this scary sound that comes out, and I was like, hold on, that sound makes me feel uneasy. And I listened to it, and there's like layers of lots of sound in it, and I thought to myself, I wonder whether there's stuff hidden in that noise that they play at you with a message in it. But like you say, what you say makes perfect sense, because this could be why they want us to have this technology in our body that was discovered during the arm shot frenzy that we all went through between 20 and 23, right? Like everybody come on over and get your shots. And the idea that self-assembling nanotechnology, which is patented for military radio, wave technology, found its way into these recipes. It's just absolutely crazy. And there was a lot of documents being circulated, which you could actually go and take a look at the patent numbers yourself and see, well, this is real. This is not somebody making up some nonsense. You can actually Google the patent numbers in the patent office, and I did this. And I went because I thought this is just very far-fetched. But these patents are legit, and there were even like official people talking about some of the patents, having to defend why these patents were in these shots. So it seems that, they want to put receptors in our bodies that can pick up these radio frequencies. Which,
if they haven't already, I mean, they're apparently trying to. I've heard they're trying to use our actual. I think Sabrina Wallace is the one who says they're using natural body parts now, like organic systems. They're able to now collect information from. So you have biosensors in you that you don't want to get rid of, because if you do, you're getting rid of part of your actual biology that isn't. It's just being used to read like information off of.
Like, I think it's interesting. Like, I think that's what the RNA technology is there for, to change the nature of the technology in our bodies.
I agree. I think it's honestly to make it more writable.
So they can interface with it better.
Yeah, you may be readable, like everyone's probably readable at this point, but writable might be a little bit more difficult, and you might have to have more
they want it
actual
writable.
synthetic. Yeah.
They want to be able to rewrite updates.
Yeah.
Through the electronic resonant field. I mean, this is something that people don't really necessarily realize, is that there is an induced atmospheric vibration created by a microwave field. There is an induced atmospheric vibration created by an oscillating electric field, a sine wave field. There is an induced atmospheric vibration created when we think. The brain waves, the oscillations, very small, and it gets very interesting because the voltage. So when you're standing up, I think if we're standing up, the voltage is about what, 200 to 300 volts by our head.
I'm not sure.
Yeah. It's about 200-300 volts, and by our between our knees and our thighs, I think it's about 80 to 100 volts. And by our hearts, it's about 180, 200 volts. Or just by our solar plexus, say, stomach region. So, it's an interesting point of when we're building up. Okay, so now it gets interesting. So this relationship increases. So if you are, what is the voltage at 100 feet? That's an interesting question. What is the voltage at 100 feet? By my guess, I would say 3 feet per 100. So it must be 100. Is it 3,000 or 30,000 volts? I don't know. Voltage at 100 feet. Atmospheric. I think it's like incredibly high voltage. Yeah, 30,000 volts. There we go. Yeah. Do they want us in office blocks? 30,000 volts. So 100 feet, how many floors is 100 feet? Is that 20 floors?
Yeah, it sounds about right.
At 10 floors, it's 15,000 volts. On the 5th floor, it's 7,000 volts. On the 15th floor, it's like, what, 22,000 volts. So this is why they want us in blocks. It's like, have we ever wondered why they need this high concentration in cities? Because if you're living in a city like London or New York or wherever, like everything's compressed. You in California probably don't have so much of this dilemma. Like we in Cape Town, we don't have it. But we are two unique places in the world. Yeah, California and Cape Town are similar. Sydney's similar. There are some of these places that are like, there's something special about these places, which is why everybody wants to go to these places for holidays, right? But you go to other places and it's all built up, right? You don't have so many sky rises in where you live, do you?
Oh, only downtown.
But even there, not so many, am I right?
Not like New York or anything like that.
It's more spread out, am I right or wrong?
There's just not as many. Downtown is kind of compact together, but it's small, because it's downtown is separate from where I am, is separate, and it's all Los Angeles. It's just, it's separate by 10, 15 miles sometimes.
Yeah. It's the same here in Cape Town. Our CBD is quite small, but we've got decentralized CBD. We've got another CBD just down the way, which is Belleville. And so we've got our high sky rises there and our high sky rises here. And they've separated Cape Town into having two decentralized points, which is interesting. And I'm betting California has a similar setup where they want to spread people out, which is interesting. But it's because these are the places where the rich people live. Cape Town is the most expensive place in South Africa to live. California, the most expensive place in the States?
One of them, if not the most. It's
where the people with money go.
Yeah.
If you doing like online business and you can live anywhere you want in the US, you're probably going to get yourself a place in California because it's the cool place to be. The nice weather, it's, beaches. It's the same like Cape Town. It's like if people have money, this is where they come. Unfortunately, it brings all sorts of people to this lovely place, who don't come here for the right reasons. So, but it's the same in Sydney in Australia. Sydney is a place where people with money go. And so this is an interesting phenomenon. Like where the people with money go, that's where the elites will be focused. The elites want to live in a different kind of an environment, right? But the rest of the places, they build them up like boxes for everybody to be concertinaed in and brainwaved. And so imagine the effects of induced atmospheric vibration at a higher altitude, like on a 10th floor or 15th floor in an office block, where the voltage is 30,000 volts. It's an interesting thought, isn't it? And it sort of gives us an insight as to, like, why do these buildings have to be Faraday cages?
Yeah. I mean, they could do the same thing with the lower voltage too, like the extremely low frequency type of things will blast you and it'll feel weird and doesn't even have to be high. You get a mix. But I mean, I feel like this is like the system you see in like The Dark Knight when he's trying to find the Joker and he puts together this system that's creating this 3D imagery of the whole all of Gotham using people's wireless phones and their internet and how they're speaking, and it's tracking everyone, creating a surveillance system. And Morgan Freeman's like, I don't really like this. And Bruce Wayne, or whatever the hell his name is that plays Bruce Wayne, is like, oh, we have to do it to find the Joker. And then he destroys it after he finds the Joker, he lets Morgan Freeman destroy it. But that, I think, was a little bit of a sneak peek of what they already likely have for all of us, which is kind of not good.
Yeah, it's definitely food for thought. And you speak about ELF. So ELF generation is illegal, right? But when you use the HAARP, which is not illegal because it doesn't generate ELF, right? It's VLF. Those, sorry,
Or
it's very high frequencies, VHF.
They might make some ULF, but not. They can just mix it.
I think you're right. It's VLF, VLF, VHF. I think it's a whole range of frequencies, but my point is that they're not using ELF frequencies because they're illegal. However, when you mess with the stratosphere and the ionosphere, the reaction is ELF.
Yeah. I was gonna say, if you want, I found one of the videos from Charlie analyzing one of like those videos on YouTube of the strange sounds in the forest. And he like plays like what he found in this sound. Like the people think it's like some weird monster or Bigfoot or something crazy like an alien or something, but he plays it and you hear like one AI voice telling them to be scared, one AI voice saying like this is a test, another one that's like playing like an animal sound. I found the one, like one of them, it's like 8 minutes long or something like that if you want to watch one of them. I don't think you'd get hit for it.
So could you be programming the ether?
Well, that's what it seems like they're blasting something into the air to make this propagate.
And if magic works by using sound frequencies to program the ether, can you use the beings that are the ionosphere, the voice of these beings proverbially, by prodding these beings with VLH, UHF frequencies to create a VLF response, the ELF. Because the ELF, one of the things they say that the HARP can be used for is scanning deep into the earth, like miles into the earth. And okay, so obviously they can find oil and gold and all of that, but maybe they're looking for something else deep under the earth. Maybe there's another civilization, a breakaway civilization living under the earth that we don't know about, that they know about, that they want to get mapped out exactly. Maybe they're using, maybe there's a war happening with another under the earth that we don't know about it, and they are zapping these guys with, you know, like there's so many different possibilities. But anyway, it seems they found a loophole for generating ELF because they can say, we didn't make ELF, you can check our equipment.
Here, should I play one of these examples?
Yeah?
You want me to play one? I'll share a screen. Charlie
yeah, do it, brother.
Yeah, Charlie won't hit us with anything. He's cool. It's a short video. And I'll fast forward around. There you go. Now let me know if you could hear this.
Part of the world that happened in.
You hear that, right? Okay. So this is the sound, I think.
They're out in the middle of nowhere. Let's check it out. There's your cryptid. We're going to go over the audio, but listen, you can hear a roar. Now, if it was just that without the other sounds, people would totally believe it.
So then basically he goes in, he pulls out what's in there, and it's like...
And what it says is, don't fall asleep.
You hear that?
Let's check out another version of that. Here it is, just boosted up. Don't fall asleep. Now let's listen to another version of that. Don't fall asleep. Here's a third version of that. Don't fall asleep. It's a female. This is man-made. These are experiments. Let's listen to one more version. Now let's go.
You heard that? That's insane, right? That's all we need to hear. I mean, that's good enough to share. I think that right there is... You're getting "Don't Fall Asleep." How much did he have to wind that to bring that down just so you could actually hear it? Like, at first you just hear like a click. The last one, I heard the voice.
There's definitely a lot going on here, and I would say, like, if they're able to code information into a Wi-Fi that can carry your image, your voice, my voice, then like it's not far-fetched. And if they could do it, why would they not do it?
Yep. And that's just like something, a basic thing. That's a subconscious message at that point. Like it's just gonna, maybe it's like a subliminal.
So was that paid for? Okay, so let's say you want to do that kind of research. Does a big pharmaceutical corporation come along and say, listen, we need to make money to give you money. So if we give you $500 million, we need to make that money back. We need to make back $1 billion on the $500 million we give you. So we need to make sure that people don't fall asleep. Because when they don't fall asleep, they come and buy our sleeping medicine, which is addictive. And that's how we make our money back.
Well, the interesting thing is that test specifically, if it's a test or if it's meant to just be like a video that the government has someone put online to freak people out online, it's not, everyone's not hearing that weird sound in the woods. That's like supposedly filmed by, if that, say those people are legitimate. There's 5 people out hiking and they hear this weird sound. Some of them might be working in the woods. I've seen videos of guys working and they hear it one time. It freaks them out. And they post it online and like 3-4 million people like, oh my God, there's cryptids and aliens and weird monsters in the woods or haunted, whatever. And most of them then hear it through the internet. They don't even hear it live the first time. So it's like, I don't know what they're trying to do with that. Maybe they're just trying to see how much they can get away with without people noticing that they're being subliminally programmed.
Totally, brother, totally. I'm going to have to be going quite soon.
That's no
because
problem.
I have to package a weed eater.
I have to work tonight too.
I've got a guy coming to fetch my weed eater that's been nothing but trouble since I bought it. And I finally just kicked off, and I've been emailing the companies and I've said, listen, this thing is totally temperamental, and my consumer rights covers me for 6 months in this country.
Yeah.
And I've cited all of the consumer rights legislation, and I sent them the emails. First, they tried to get clever with me, and I just hit them back with like legal disclaimers. So suddenly yesterday, they just arranged a pickup, someone coming to fetch the machine, because like I was just like, this isn't cool. You know, I paid a lot of money for this thing. It's a Japanese brush cutter. And my lawn hasn't been cut since forever. My girlfriend brought me her electric spare one. I don't even know how to put the head on it. Like it doesn't operate according to usual things to remove the head. It's one of these clever electrical things. I'm scared of breaking it. I need to go watch a YouTube to figure out how to put a head on her weed eater. Because usually there's like a screwdriver point where you put in a screwdriver and it locks it, and then you just turn off the head. You replace the head, or you open the head and put in a new cable or whatever. Gosh, yeah. So I've got to be ready this morning, because the guy just rocked up yesterday at my door. I was like, "What are you doing here?"
Yeah.
And then I looked at my email. I just got an email 20 minutes ago saying that the guy's going to come and fetch it. And I wasn't expecting such a fast. I was expecting a fight.
Yeah.
But the last email did the trick. I was like, okay, cool. They didn't even respond to the emails. They just booked someone to fetch it.
How get it done, Get it done. I have to work anyways tonight too, so no, but not a problem,
well,
really.
it's like a couple $100. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I want, either I want that thing or I want my money back.
Yeah.
I don't want to hassle with things that don't start. It's brand new. It should work. It should just be, and it's the same Japanese. It's the same Japanese thing. The Tanaka Pro. It's a cool one. It's like a 55cc engine. It's got power, and it's a nice big solid one that's like single cut. You know, you can cut just about anything with it. But I've only had a headache with it to the point where I've cut my finger open trying to start it, and you know, I'm like, the last one worked so well, started first time every time for 3 years, and then it packed up, and I was like, it's like I'm gonna keep it for spare parts.
Yeah, all
and
the
buy
new
another
stuff.
one of the same
Like,
one. You know,
everything that's new is like falls apart, man. It's awful.
that's what it is. But 3 years isn't bad to get out of a weed eater without having to service it. The moment you take it to a technician, you're spending a lot of money.
Yeah.
You may as well bought a new one. This is how they get you.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
like if
No,
I were
it's-
to replace the parts and fix the old one, it's going to cost me the same cost as a new one. It's going to
Yeah.
cost me a couple $100. I could buy a new one for that cost. You know, this is the way they get us into this consumer society.
And they told us they were going to do it too, and people let it. Our parents honestly let it happen. They told them, right? It came out in like every newspaper. We're going to do controlled obsolescence. Like all of your stuff's going to break down quicker so we can keep making more. Because that's the only way to keep the economy running properly. And everyone's like, okay. I don't know. I don't get it, man. I don't understand what the older generation.
My dad would be doing backflips. Like, imagine our grandfathers, great grandfathers, like.
Well, you
doing
know what
this
it was?
work,
I
like,
think they got the message that was coming, but then they didn't experience it, so they didn't think anything of it. Like, they were told it was going to happen, but then it didn't go into play until the next generation or our generation.
yeah.
So it's like the people who were told didn't have to deal with it, and we weren't told, but we had to deal with it. So, like, we're all missing, like, one part of the equation. We didn't get any warning, and they got the warning, but they didn't have to deal with it, so they never thought it was actually coming.
I remember when I was a boy, we had a kettle. And we had the same kettle like most of my life.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't replace the kettle. Since I've been an adult, I replace my kettle every 2-3 years. 2 years, I replace the kettle. They just don't last.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I get the nice ones. I don't like plastic kettles. You know,
And
metal glass.
there's so much like this now. There's so much that's the same way. And it's like unbelievable.
Yeah, man. Well, big love to you, brother.
You too,
Thank
brother.
you for this scintillating conversation. One with nature. Big love. I hope you're well. The recording of it is here. I've got to go and pack up a weed eater.
Go get
Maybe
that
grab
weed
a
eater
quick bite
fixed.
to eat and pack up a weed eater.
I'm gonna get some work. Man.
And you got to fetch your partner. How's she doing?
Oh, good. But I mean, she got another hour or so. But I gotta edit a video before I go get her. So never ends.
wow.
Man. Never ends. But
My boy wants to learn to edit videos. I'm going to teach him how to use basic CapCut on his tablet.
oh yeah, he'll learn that fast probably. He'll learn that
Yeah, man.
fast. That won't be.
Yeah. Because he wants to put in himself running with like a face chasing him.
Oh yeah, that stuff. He'll be able to do that.
I was like, yeah, I'll teach you that.
I'm
Even I can learn to do that. That's simple stuff. It's not going to
I'm
look
getting
like.
so tired. I'm getting tired of it. It hurt. It's painful, man. It's like staring at these screens that are made like. Oh, speaking of painful, my ear just started ringing like insanely. That was weird, bizarre, out of nowhere. But yeah, like we're staring at screens that are made specifically with a frequency band of light that is harmful to our health, and it kills my eyes every time. I'm hurting by the time I'm done editing for hours and hours. Then I sleep like hell, even with the blue light glasses. And you're sitting the whole time. I mean, I stand sometimes 'cause I have a stand-up desk, but who wants to stand while they're for hours and hours at the same time? It's just like...
Well, brother, good luck with your video editing. I hope it's going to go well and
I hope it's
smooth.
fast.
Hopefully you'll be able to join us on the round table this weekend. It'd be an honor to have you.
I know, man.
I
keep
think it's
trying
going to
to
be a
make
big
it.
one.
Yeah. Are you guys starting a
I
little
just
later now?
feel the energy on the week is building, like it's building towards something.
Did I see you were starting at 11 p.m. Pacific, so 1 p.m. Eastern now?
You're talking about on Saturdays.
Yeah.
It's 12 p.m. EST time.
9. All right, so 9 my time. Okay.
So it's a 9 a.m. PST. Is that right? Yeah.
So if I don't work Friday night, I'll try to get in there.
Well, brother, I'm noticing I've got a good tan, hey? Yeah. Not
You do
bad
have
for
a
like
little
the
bit of
beginning of
tan,
winter.
Yeah.
I've been able to take off my top and get a bit of sun this last week a few times on the mountain. So
I'm white as
wow.
a ghost.
You don't notice it because I don't look into mirrors very often. Like I don't shave, so
Yeah.
like,
No, you look. Yeah, you definitely got a little color. It's good. I need
yeah,
some.
man.
I need some bad.
Well, big love to you, brother. Big love to everybody.
You too, brother. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
In the chat. I hope you guys enjoy the recording of the conversations here. Follow Chris. Go and check out his music. Time will tell. At Time will tell.
Yeah, you could link.
And,
I'll put my link tree in the comments too if people want to check it out. That's where all my links are. It's just Linktree /
Stick it into the
Chris
group
Minor.
chat quickly right now while we're here.
Yeah, I'm gonna do that. HTTPS /
Okay, so I'm actually going to go and adjust the roundtable link tree, and I'm going to add your link tree to the roundtable link tree. I'm going to do that this week. I should have done it already.
Can you make that chat message go through that I just sent or no?
Why is it not coming through on my chat?
It might be because it was a link. Here, you want me to send you a private chat?
No, send the link again without the www stuff.
Okay, let me see. Well, I didn't have the W. I just had a HTTPS, but I'll try without that.
Yeah. If you take out the HTTPS, then people can just copy and,
God damn, it won't let me. Here.
Even if you just know the link tree address and they go onto the link tree and they just hit the /,
God damn, they won't even let me do that. Yeah, it's just Chris Minor from Linktree. Just that.
So it's just Chris Minor, one word, yeah?
Yeah.
So
I just put in Chris Minor.
Yeah, just go into Linktree in the / Chris Minor. You'll find his Linktree.
Yeah.
But you'll also find him at Time Will Tell or at Chris Minor Official.
I believe, yeah.
Those 2 YouTube channels. Well, big love to everybody. Big blessings. Hope you have an absolutely awesome, super day. And keep smiling. Keep vibing. Stay away from your phones if you can. Use the speakerphone.
Yeah.
I'm bad. Sometimes I don't. I got to get in the habit of making sure, keep that space between myself and the phone.
I started using these, man, instead of the Bluetooth ones, because I need to practice what I preach. The Bluetooth ones are awful for you.
I can't use those damn things. My ears are too sensitive.
I mean, it's better. I'd rather not wear them at all, too, but at least I don't have to deal with an echo, so it's fine.
Yeah, they just freak me out, dude. Like, they freak me out. Like,
oh, you mean the
Bluetooth
out there? Just any headphones at all? You're saying?
Yeah. I don't use any headphones ever.
Yeah. I don't mind these.
I've got like monitor speakers running here, 2 little speakers, 3 speakers running, pointing that direction.
Okay.
And that's the only way I can sort of do this thing. Well, big love, Sunshine Blossom.
Thanks, everyone. Franklin.
The patterns in the clouds. Yeah, man. There's definitely something going. We can see it in the weather patterns here in Cape Town, all around the world. There's something strange. All of these fires that you guys had, I think they're all part of the same thing. We had huge fires here this week as well, and I think it's arson. Like there's so much going on, man.
I know.
There's so much going on, and there's probably you guys probably have enough evidence that it's arson up there on that side of the world too.
We had a lot of arson, and we also had evidence of them basically pulsing the grid where all 3 fires were at the same time arcing, like the grid arced in 3 places because of overloading of power from directly from the power lines, which was basically impossible unless it was done on purpose. So there's actual people running around starting fires, and then the companies seem to have been starting fires. Someone who has control of the grid, at least.
Yeah. No, the last fire, there's evidence of arson. the fire started in 3 different places at the same time, and the places where they start are places with road access. And we had the same thing last time. We had evidence of it here on our fires. There's definitely something going on, but I think it's all a concerted effort from every direction to sort of cajole us, get us into those high buildings. You know, it's the future plan, maybe.
Keep hitting us so fast that we don't have time to think, too.
Well, big love to you, brother. Big love to everybody in the chat. I'm just looking at
brother.
the time ticking,
Yeah,
and I
get
don't
outta
want
here,
this
get
guy
outta
to
here,
rock
go.
up at my door, and I'm like, haven't got a packed up weed eater for him.
Go get that thing done.
Technically, it's a brush cutter, but I use it as a weed eater. Big love to everybody. Take care. Keep it alive. Keep smiling, and till next time. Bom Shiva.
Absolutely. Bye, guys.
Big love.